He said he was listed as doubtful in the injury report. Can you tell us more, about how his shoulder's feeling, just like the chances that of him playing going forward?
I think we're headed towards. Yeah, we're going to see. I mean, just it hadn't improved, and we're not going to put him out there if there's any compromise. We attempted in the Virginia Tech game, and I think that lasted like 8 snaps. So we have to have a bigger picture conversation right now. We're not planning on him being out there. Obviously, he hasn't been able to practice now for a while, and so that may end up kind of being a longer term recovery. And once we make that decision, once he makes that decision, we'll update it in full. Looks like it's heading that way, but obviously until he makes the opt for surgery, we're going to hang in there and hold out hope. Just hasn't been able to get better.
And the other day we talked to Zaylen Woods. He was talking about Joshua Singh, just like his on-field presence and how much it's helpful, for the team. Just from your view, what can you say about Josh Singh in terms of his improvement and just what he brings, his presence on the field?
We saw it on film when we were evaluating him. When I talked to Kalani at BYU about him too, he's mature. He's very businesslike, but God has gifted him with strength and power and twitch, and it comes in a compact package, but in some ways, with all the things he brings to the field, that package makes him more challenging to block. And he is competitive, he's tough, and he is a difference maker at the line of scrimmage. And it just looks different. It looks different than a guy like Glenn, right? But he knows how to play to his strengths. He knows how to play leverage football. He can beat the opponent to the technique and get in the backfield, and that's shown up for us. So we're grateful to have him. He's been a great addition, and a lot of that beyond the play on the field. I mean, this is a really good person that we've enjoyed having.
Knowing how good LSU's defense is and how many interceptions they forced this year, how important is it to avoid turnovers this Saturday?
Critical. That's the game, and I think of turnover avoidance. We don't want to play as though we're avoiding, because I don't think that results in anything that you're proud of in terms of what the game looks like. We want to play aggressive, assertive football, but ball decisions will be critical. There are going to be times where taking a sack is a good play. And we want to try to create as many possessions as we can for our offense, knowing that possessions will be limited because of the way both offenses play. And when we possess the ball, we want to maintain possession of it. So I think that's a huge stat, obviously, coming out of the Alabama game, too, something we wanted to work on to correct. We have all the faith in the world in Diego to make the great decisions. And when he does take his risks as a defense, we need to have his back. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. But possession will be a huge part of the outcome.
Last season, there's some talk about, you're coaching against Brian Kelly after you've been on his staff. Now that you've, experienced being on his staff, now coaching against him, do you feel like that sort of familiarity that you have, with him, his tendencies, possibility, do you feel like that sort of helps you at all from a coaching standpoint?
I don't think there's an advantage. If anything, I think he could say the same in return. I mean, he knows my quirks and probably a lot more about my limitations than I may even know myself. I mean, he was evaluating me, and he gave me the opportunity and helped me grow. I think all these relationships are meaningful. Obviously, I wouldn't be here without Coach Kelly, and just always appreciated not only the opportunities he gave to me, but what he taught me through his example, also what he took the time to mentor me through. And a really formative 4 years for me in my career. So grateful for that time, and I think in the same sense, like, excited to compete against him. I mean, I think the relationship actually adds to the spirit of the competition and the fun of it. I got a deep respect for the program he's building there, and the team he has, and the way they're coached, and we'll be challenged, but this is what you do it for. So. All good things. I haven't spent much time at all this week thinking about that, just because there's enough to think about outside the coach.
Another thing that people have sort of been talking about in the national conversation is what a win would do for both sides here in terms of potential postseason odds going forward. How challenging is it to keep your guys and the team sort of away from that noise and just solely focus on execution this weekend?
Well, I have them only for so long in the day, and what we do is we do the best we can to give them framework to attack the entire 24 hours. And so there's a lot of trust embedded in that. I'm trusting them to maintain that focus, and I think it's also okay to. I think it's also okay to appreciate where we are. You know, we don't need to sit there and be prognosticators and you play the what if game. It's okay to think about how exciting it is to play a top 20 matchup on Saturday at home here, kind of past the midway point of the season, and know that there's going to be a lot of energy in that stadium, and there's a lot of energy around what we're doing. It's just when it comes down to the time invested, are we doing the right things the right way? Are we focused in the moment on what we need to be focused on? Because at the end, like, mid-season football is all about the teams that show up and execute. I mean, that's it. You know, early on, everyone's excited, everyone's in it. Once you reach this point of the season, it's the discipline to stay in that process. It's the discipline to move past the prior result and be all in on the next one. And that's going to be an exercise for us from here to the end of the season, because not one of these games will define our year. They just won't. We're going to enjoy it. We're going to have fun with it, but we have to have the mental discipline to stay in the moment.